in Indian polity, we are going to discuss about right to freedom, articles 19 to 22. Okay, so this is our second fundamental right of the Indian Constitution. Our first fundamental right is right to equality, articles 14 to 18. Okay, so in this class we are going to discuss about article 19, that is protection of 6 rights. Okay, so before 1978 there are 7 rights under article 19, that is right to property, right to hold, acquire and dispose of property, and it was deleted by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. Okay, so at present we are enjoying 6 rights under article 19. Okay, so that important right to property was made into legal right. Okay, present the right to property was constituted in 300A article. Okay, so this important article 19 is for citizens only, not for the foreigners. Okay, so we already discussed about these important 5 articles in citizenship. So article 15, 16, 19, 29 and 30, so these important 5 articles only by the only can enjoy by the citizens, not for the foreigners. Okay, so articles 19(1)(a) to 19(1)(g), so these are 6 rights of the freedom from article 19. Okay, so first freedom is right to freedom of speech and expression. So article 19(1)(a). Okay, so each and every citizen has the right to express his views, opinions, beliefs, convictions freely by word of mouth, writing, printing, picturing and other manner. So there are so many platforms to express our views freely. Okay, so there is no reasonable restrictions under this freedom. Okay, right to propagate one's views and other views. So we have the right to propagate. We can give speech through so many views. It means our views and others views also we can propagate without any restrictions from the government. Okay, freedom of the press, this is very important freedom under article 19. So we have the freedom of the press. Okay, so through press we are expressing so many things, so many incidents to the people. Okay, so this is very important freedom at present times. Okay, so we can say this important right to freedom, fundamental right, is the backbone to the fundamental rights, that is part 3. Okay, and freedom of the commercial advertisement. So we have the right to freedom of commercial advertisements without any variations between rich or poor something. Okay, so each and every citizen has the freedom to make some commercial advertisements. Okay, and right against tapping of telephonic conversation. So there is no private person to tapping the telephonic conversation, because to hear some other phone's conversation is the based on the right to privacy. Okay, so if anyone wants to hear some other telephonic conversation which has been done only by the law. Okay, so without law no person has the right to involve in this telephonic conversation. So there is no person tap the telephonic conversation. Okay, and right to telecast, we have the right to telecast what we think and what we need. Okay, and right against band. So some bands, some strikes will be called by the political party or organization. If you want, we can go. If you don't want to go to that political party strike, so we have the right against band. Okay, so if you don't want to go to that political party strike, so you cannot go. So this is also one of the fundamental right of the Indian Constitution. Okay, right to know about government activities. Okay, so this is one of the right to information. Okay, so we have the right to know government activities, what are going in the government. Okay, so we have the right to know all things which are going in the government department. Okay, freedom of silence. Okay, if you want to be neutral, you can. Okay, so there is no restrictions on you, and because you have the right to freedom of silence. Okay, and right against imposition of pre-censorship on newspaper. So there is no pre-censorship without knowing the objective of newspaper. So there is no restrictions on the newspaper. Okay, so we have the right to against imposition of a pre-censorship on the any newspaper. Okay, right to demonstration or picketing but not right to strike. Okay, so there is right to demonstration. It means demonstration means to discussing about incident. Okay, so familiar incident or famous incident, some group of people will discuss about that important incident, that is demonstration. And there is no right to strike. Without arms and strike, we can demonstrate. Okay, this is our freedom under article 19(1)(a). Okay. Okay, so there are some restrictions to the freedom of speech and expression. Okay, so state can impose reasonable restrictions on exercise of the freedom of speech and expression on the important grounds, that is sovereignty, integrity, security, public order, morality, decency, foreign state, contempt of the court, defamation. Okay, so these are reasonable grounds for the restrictions to the freedom of speech and expression. On the basis of these grounds, state can impose restrictions on the article 19. Okay, that is protection of 6 rights. Okay, and second article 19(1)(b), that is freedom of assembly. So every citizen has the right to assemble peacefully and without arms. Okay, so each and every citizen has the right to assemble, okay, without arms and peaceful. Okay, so this important freedom of assembly only exercised only on the public land, not on the private land. Okay, so and it must be peaceful and unarmed. It means without arms, and it doesn't include right to strike. Okay, so these are do's, and don'ts are so there is no violent activities or violence and disorderly and arms. There is no strikes. Okay, so there is some restrictions on the right to assembly, that is article 19(3). Okay, so uh, sovereignty on the basis of sovereignty, integrity, public order, these are the grounds for the restrictions on the right to assembly. Okay, and public order means during the assembly of a group of people, this may be this may this may cause to the traffic also. Okay, so because of the maintenance of the traffic in that area, so it means public order. So on the basis of public order ground, the state can impose some restrictions on the right to assembly. Okay, so there are two important sections under these restrictions. Under section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code 1973, so a magistrate can restrain an assembly or meeting or possession if there is a risk of obstruction, danger to human life, health, safety, and disturbance of a public. So on the basis of these grounds, a magistrate can restrain. Okay, it means a magistrate can stop that assembly or meeting on the basis of section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Okay, and then another section is section 141 of the IPC, Indian Penal Code, section 144. Okay, so 5 members or more. Okay, so the assembly means 5 members or more. So those members are unlawfully. It means the object is to resist or execution of any law or legal process, to forcibly occupy the property of some person. Okay, Okay, occupation of other property or resist the execution of any law, it means against government, to commit any mischief or criminal trespass, okay, and to force someone to do an illegal act, okay, and the threat and to threaten the government or its officials on exercising lawful powers, okay. So under these grounds, under section 141 of the IPC, so the assembly will be restricted on the basis of section 141 of the IPC, Indian Penal Code, okay. And another important freedom is freedom of association, 191C article, okay. So right to form association or unions or cooperative societies, okay, and this important freedom got constitutional status through 97th Constitutional Amendment Act 2001, okay. So right to form cooperative societies or associations which constituted in fundamental rights, that is article 191C, and also in directive principles of state policy under article 43B, okay. Okay, so right to form political parties, companies, partnership, societies, clubs, organization, and trade unions also. So group of persons can form these organizations under the freedom of association. So we have the right to form cooperative societies. There is no restrictions on this freedom, okay. So not only start but also continue, okay. So under this freedom, not only start, we can continue, and negative right is we can quit from this association also, okay. At any time we can quit and we can exit from this association, okay. This is also one of the fundamental right of the Indian Constitution. So there is some restrictions under this article 191C, that is article 194, okay. So on the basis of, so there are four grounds: sovereignty, integrity, public order, morality. On the basis of these are the restrictions under article 191C, okay. If the association or cooperative society is lawful, there is no restrictions, okay. If it is unlawful, there are some restrictions, okay. And one more thing is, formation of association or cooperative society is a fundamental right, but recognition by the government of India is not a fundamental right, okay. So this is very important restrictions on the freedom of association. Recognition by the government of India, it means some there are some qualifications, or there are some restrictions, or there are some important features, okay. If you qualify those features, you can get recognition by the government, okay. So recognition by the government is not a fundamental right, okay. And next important freedom is freedom of movement, that is article 191D, okay. So every citizen can move freely throughout the territory of India, within India, okay. And he can move one state to another state and one place to another place, okay. So why our constitution provided this important freedom of movement? Because to promote national feeling among the people, to uphold the unity and integrity, and to decrease the narrow mindedness of the people, okay. And there are some restrictions under article 195, okay. So freedom of movement of prostitutes were restricted, okay. So and Bombay High Court also given some guidelines to the this important freedom of movement, okay. So AIDS patients and prostitutes are restricted to the movement of the persons, okay. So on the basis of public interest, protection of ST interest, okay. So entry of outsiders in tribal areas is restricted because to protect their distinctive culture, language, customs, traditional life, okay. So their life changes, their properties, okay. So to protect these important features, so there is some areas were restricted to enter okay, and on the basis of public health and public morals also, okay. So this important freedom, that is freedom of movement, can be divided into two dimensions, that is internal and external. So internal freedom, which dealt by the article 19, okay, and external by the article 21, okay. So article 21, right to life and personal liberty. So external movement, which deals by the article 21, internal movement deals by the article 19, okay. And another freedom is the freedom of residence, article 19(1)(e). Every citizen has the right to reside and settle in any part of the territory of the country, which is temporary or permanently, okay. So we can reside in any place what we want at any time, okay. So temporary means right to reside in any part of the country for temporary time, temporary period, okay, some time or some period. And permanent means right to settle in any part of the country for permanent, okay. So the intention is to remove internal barriers within the country or between any of its parts, to increase the nationalism and to decrease the narrow mindedness of the people, okay. And there are some restrictions, article 19(5), okay. So in freedom of movement also restrictions under article 19(5), and here also 19(5), because there are same restrictions, okay. And a state can impose reasonable restrictions on two grounds: general public interest and protection of ST interest, okay. To protect their culture, language, properties, we are not going to some important areas like tribal areas to protect their culture, because their culture is very distinctive, okay. So we have the responsibility to protect their culture, okay. And Supreme Court banned prostitutes and some habitual offenders to freedom of residence, okay. And right to residence and right to movement overlapping, both are complementary to each other. Right to residence and movement are complementary to each other, okay. So after article 19(1)(e), there is article 19(1)(f), that is right to property, right to acquire, hold and dispose of property. This was deleted by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978, okay. Next important freedom is freedom of profession, article 19(1)(g). Okay, so all citizens right to practice any profession. They can carry any occupation, trade, business, okay. So the citizens can choose any occupation, any profession for livelihood, okay. So they can choose any profession without any restrictions from the people or government. So they can choose anything for their livelihood, okay. So there are some reasonable restrictions under article 19(1)(g), that is the freedom of profession. So article 19(6), so this is for the reasonable restrictions to the freedom of profession. So state is empowered to prescribe professional or technical qualifications, and these are necessary for the practicing any profession or occupation, trade, business. So there are some reasonable restrictions to this freedom, okay. And state can impose some restrictions, and state can empower to prescribe some professional or technical qualification, for example doctor. So there are some professional qualifications for becoming a doctor, okay. So without qualification, without professional qualification, you cannot be a doctor, okay. So state can impose some reasonable restrictions for this freedom of profession, okay. And profession should not immoral. So any profession, but this is this should be moral. Like immoral means trafficking in women and children, and dangerous or hazardous works, trade without license. These are immoral professions. Okay, so state can regulate or prohibit these immoral professions. Okay, and I will provide some important MCQs on this right to freedom, that is article 19, in description box, so you can check out that description box for the MCQs. Okay, thank you for watching.